Hello, beer tubers, and welcome to yet another Throwback Thursday with me, Peter, the master of puppets, throwing back with some classic American beer. And the reason for it is a pretty fucking big damn shame. So we're drinking Cigar City today, and we're drinking the only Cigar City beer I could find locally that I think is okay with the age on it. So we're revisiting the Cigar City Maduro Brown Ale, an American brown ale, which I think they changed the classification according. I actually watched Darwin's review of this a couple of days ago, and he loved it. He had a 5-month-old can. I have a 6-month-old can. No, it's more than 6. Oh, this will be interesting. It is 8 months in the can, borderline 9 months. So, not as fresh as his can, which was 5 months. But let's see, it's a brown ale. It might be all right. But the reason why I wanted to revisit this one, or just revisit any Cigar City beer and do a throwback episode, or just any episode on Cigar City, is because of the news that just came out recently. So, Cigar City is part of something called Canarchy, together with Austria Blues and a couple other American breweries. And it's a kind of a big umbrella company type thing where it's the big parent company, or the big parent company of that company is Monster Energy Drink, Monster Beverage Corporation, or something like that. So they bought a lot of brands, and then they, under that umbrella, made Canarchy, which was where they produced like loads of different things from Cigar City and or owned Cigar City and everything. Like they have a lot of brands under that portfolio. But recently they had a announcement that they were closing down Cigar City. And it's just like, what? Just out of the blue, they're laying off loads of workers, and they're changing Cigar City's Tampa location and turning it into a Monster Flavor Lab. Oh, like, what the actual fuck? Like, what the hell? This is the State of the Union, guys. They fired Wayne Wombles. He's such a legendary brewer. It's just like, how was there not room for him at any other of the facilities they own? Like such a talented brewer. He's the mastermind behind some of the most iconic American craft beers ever. So I'm guessing you should hold on to whatever you have of Cigar City if you want to drink it again. If you want to drink Hunapu again, if you want to drink a lot of these things again, you have it in your cellar. Don't get rid of that. Crack it and drink it, and pour a glass and make a toast about Cigar City, because I just think that is nuts. Like, to me, that's still this is like probably the biggest icon on the Florida beer scene. They are almost of a status, like, they're maybe not as big as a status icon as something like Sierra Nevada, but they're at least, like, if you look at Indiana and like Three Floyds, they're in that kind of ballpark. Let's say like Bell's Founders, like, they are in that, like, fucking, like, everyone who knows craft beer would, at least in the States, I think most people, like, oh yeah, I've heard of Cigar City. Like, what the hell? The fact that they decided to do that and then make it into a Monster Flavor Lab is just like, what the hell? But yeah, really, really sad news, and a big hit, I think, for the industry, which is just, yeah, it's such a shame. Right now, I'm just thinking, fuck, why did I not drink more Cigar City? And fuck, why did I not, like, right now, ever since I got these news, it's like, recently I've been wanting to drink Hunapu again, and like, that was like, fuck, I need to find Hunapu now, because like, I'm not going to be trying Hunapu any other way. Unless Wayne starts his own brewery. But I think he already started some brewing consultancy company instead. So that aside, such a shame that that's the reason why we're cracking Cigar City, but that's the reason why. So we're cracking Maduro Brown Ale. I was actually a bit harsh on this one when I had it the first time. But when I reviewed Cigar City back in the day, they were a much smaller brewery, and there was different things going on. And I had I think it's an off bottle because it was really over-carbed, and like I was not feeling it, let's say it like that. So we were not like super stoked compared to what we had in mind it would be, because we're like, Cigar City is up here. But yeah, Cigar City has always really been available in Europe, like sporadically. And the cans of these kind of beers have been for a long time, like also, I think, in somewhat regular rotation alongside Oscar Blues in some countries with some distributors. So you've always been able to get some of the core range kind of stuff like High Life or Maduro Brown Ale, Florida Cracker, is that what it's called? Like a few of their more core range beers, they've been available. But some of the more interesting stuff hasn't been in a very long time. And I think that's due to the company that does the import of the beers. They get these kind of beers. So it's also gotten to a point now these days, and I think that's also because of the size maybe of Cigar City. I don't know how big of their output is, but it's also a brewery, at least it's also maybe the distributor. It's a brewery in Denmark that is a supermarket brand. I picked this up in the supermarket, which is just like, I'm in Denmark and in a well-assorted supermarket. These days you pick up Cigar City. It's just like nuts. But there's something to not scaling too much, because it seems like when brewers get to too big scales, quality declines or things like this, crazy buyouts happen, and then they get closed overnight. And it's just, there's something to it. Maybe like if you're really into making beer and just like not trying to build and grow, maybe it's just best to get to a size that you're comfortable with and stay there. If you love doing what you're doing, at least. If you want to sell out, go do that. But let's dive into Maduro, because I've talked so much in these videos. Sorry, guys. But yeah, this is named after a dark cigar wrapper. Maduro Brown Ale boasts notes of semi-sweet chocolate, toffee, hints of fresh coffee. Complex and full-bodied or malt-forward ale is brewed with flaked oats to a depth of character. Pours a nice brown color in the glass, mahogany, chestnutty notes. Again, this was 8, almost 9 months in the can, so not exactly fresh, but that's what you get sometimes with supermarket beers. Tan head on there. Let's check out the aroma on Maduro. Ooh, very toasty and coffee-like, and coconut-y. Oh, it smells really nice. Very malty and rich character, almost like a bit of like a Munich malty breadiness. Almost like Darwin talked a bit about Doppelbox and box, and I totally see that. But there's definitely also some crystal malt in there, and like some kind of darker roasted malts that gives that like chocolatey, slightly coconut-y flair that you also often get with brown ales. Maybe even brown malt. Brown malt is interesting because it's not often used in brown ales. It's more often used in like imperial stouts and porters, but it can also be really nice in small amounts in brown ales, I think. I'm also definitely picking up on the flaked oats. There is like that slight oaty sweetness to it, almost like oat milk. And what was the ABV? 5.5? A lot of aroma for it. It smells good. Again, usually I was not the biggest fan of brown ales in the past, unless you put stuff in it, but like coffee, whatever. But these days, I actually do like a good brown ale. So let's try Maduro for the first time in probably 10 years. Cheers. And here's to the legacy of Cigar City Brewing. So there was also some IPAs, some hazy IPA from them at the same date. I'm glad I didn't pick that up, because this is holding up fairly well. Loads of toasty, nutty notes. There's like a bit of coffee, like almost like, it's not like smelling freshly brewed coffee or something. It's almost like a little bit of like a diluted coffee, or almost like a bit of, almost like if you think stale coffee beans, just because the coffee flavor is not overpowering. And I think it's because there's lower amounts of roasted malt in here. Maybe it's more like really toasty. Definitely that, like toasted, freshly toasted bread. It has like that toasty bread crust type thing. And then with some slightly generic kind of nutty notes. And then like that sweet oat milk kind of flavor. It's just textbook brown ale. But I'd say it seems more American than British, just because it's, or like, let's say American British or American English. Because like the interpretation of American brewers making English ales, classic English ales, is pretty much the same as the English to some extent, but without the yeast character. Most of the American interpretation of these kind of styles, they will lack that like quintessential English yeast. They will be much more clean than English classic beers, which I don't mind. But it's like the same thing with like English style barley wine. You drink it from these American breweries, and they're just like 15% crazy barrel aged stuff like that. Like They're amazing, but they should almost be called something that's like American English part of wine, or I don't know, something like that, because they're not really that similar to the classical English stuff. But that's just how it is. That's whatever, modern beer. Beer definitions are crazy. But this is really good brown ale. I really enjoy this. There's even a bit of a fruitiness, like currants or something like that. Red currant or something. I'd say it's not the brown ale I'm most stoked about. And I think that is an age statement. It doesn't really have too many old flavors. Like, it doesn't have much of oxidation or anything. Maybe just like a smidge, because it has like a slightly dry sherry-esque finish. But other than that, it tastes very good for being very close to its expiration dates. Only a few months. I wish I would have been doing this video with a Cigar City beer where I was just like, this is the fucking shit. I love this. Like, fuck you, monster. Like, I would have loved if that was the case, but it's just not what I was able to get. But yeah, a damn shame about Cigar City. It's one of those, by now, classic American brewers that's sad to see go. It's still going to be a brand. It's like they're just closing the actual brewery. They're keeping the brand. They're keeping the brand, and the brand is going to be another, like, whatever supermarket swill product. They're going to take the recipes, they're going to dial them down as much as they can, and then it's just going to be standing on boatloads of shelves amongst others, like crafty beers. Such a shame. Like, I'm sure this beer is not going to taste like this when you try it in a few months down the line, unless it's still something with some age on it. But yeah, this is really good. It's a great brown ale. It's not like blowing my mind, this can here, but it's really, really, really good. So I'm going to go straight 90. I think it's very, very nice. It's pretty much what you want from a brown ale. I think so. But I think I would go higher if it was fresher, really. It's just like it has like that slightly dry sherry, maybe not porty, but sherry note, maybe even lightly papery, just on the end, like a slight drying sherry finish that's just like, it's a bit off, and then it just doesn't have the vibrancy and freshness of caramel malts. Like, when even beers like this are fresh, the maltiness is much more vibrant. And that's like, I've become such an advocate for fresh beer. Don't age beer, unless it's lambic or wild ale. In general, don't. Just drink it fresh. It's usually just best fresh. But yeah, here's to Cigar City, man. Here's to Wayne and his team. And what a legendary brewer. And so sad to see this one go. So I hope you guys can get some Cigar City and drink some and try some before we're not going to see anything but whatever, shade of its former self it's going to be. I'm fearing worse here. So yeah, I mean, firing Wayne, God, what the hell? So yeah, if you guys had a chance to try Maduro brown ale in recent times, let me know what you thought of it. What is your favorite Cigar City beer of all time? Mine is double barrel aged tuna boo. That was probably one of my biggest what the fuck moments ever. That was crazy. I never did a review of that. I think, I did maybe on MBCC, but otherwise I do have a beer review of Cigar City California Brandy Barrel Aged Tuna Boo, which was really good. And I've even done they did a newer version of it called something else. I've done loads, also Marsha Sukovs, and just look through the back catalog. I've reviewed lots and lots and lots of Cigar City beers over the years. So yeah, here's the Cigar City. Check out Maduro Brown Ale while you still can. Thanks a ton for watching. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers to the Cigar City Brewing legacy, and see you guys in another beer review. Or a Throwback Thursday even. And hopefully it's not a Throwback Thursday based on something as sad as this. So cheers. See you guys in another one.